And welcome back. We are getting ready to venture off into our second segment of the show. And in the second segment, we actually will be talking about goals setting for your life. With us is none other than Carolyn Trench-Sandiford, who is a consultant. Carolyn, we want to wish you Happy New Year and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for the welcome and Happy New Year to both of you.
Okay.
And not just a happy, but a successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you are about to teach us how to do that, right?
Oh my goodness,
Or give
I
us
will try.
tips on how to
I will
do that.
because it's all about you.
Definitely.
You know, we started, sorry, I wanted to say one thing. We started the conversation earlier this week looking at resolutions, and we've been doing a lot of life skills, and this is so important because this is the one tool you need to be able to accomplish everything else.
Yes.
And for some reason, we don't learn it in schools.
Yes.
So there's a lot of adult education learning that will take place this morning.
Yeah, which is wonderful. And life is a journey of experiences
Definitely.
and one of learning. You learn forever.
That's
especially
right.
if you learn to accept when it comes to you. One of the things I am big on is actually about family. I am big on that at this particular point in our life, especially in this generation.
Yeah.
We're starting families at a very young age, and because we start at a very young age, we don't plan accordingly, we don't plan effectively, and thus we will not see results. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so glad that you're here to eventually share with us in terms of setting goals for your family, especially if you are a young family who actually wants to see your family flourish for the future. A goal setting for the family.
I like how you say when you're a young family, because when you're young, you think romance and love and, and sometimes the realism and the pragmatism sometimes doesn't necessarily kick in or doesn't have the right balance that you should have. So again, thanks. And certainly one of the challenges I find with so many people, and perhaps because I am a planner, I like to say by profession, so I plan, but I've always been someone who set goals. I believe in setting goals.
Right.
And I also believe not only in setting them, but monitoring them and tracking them and making my adjustments as I move along. Because sometimes you could set a goal at the start of the year, but maybe 6 months into the year, the goal may no longer be relevant to the scheme of things. So it's a process that we all go through, and I'll always say to people, you don't fail at anything. FAIL is simply your first attempt in learning.
Wow.
Nice.
So you learn as you're moving along and you make the necessary adjustments. The challenge that many people face, though, I think, particularly when it comes to the new year, it's a brand new year, so we want to start off new and fresh, and we start talking about resolutions and all the things that we want to do. But oftentimes, when we set these resolutions, you find that they are unrealistic. There are resolutions that require a lot of time that we never quite think through, and so on and so forth. And one of the statistics that I found that deals with what percentage of people who achieve the resolutions they set, and actually it's a measly 8%. And so that is a key. So we have to ask ourselves, why only 8%? Of the people who set resolutions and set goals actually achieve them.
Or what can I do to be part of that 8%?
Exactly. And besides setting the unrealistic goals, I think sometimes, Tony, I was listening to your show earlier this week where you were talking about, I think it was Jamie, talking about setting other people's goals. Because your goals are about you, it's not about other people's. And sometimes we also set negative goals. I will not drink anymore, or I will not, as against putting it into the positive. And so what I try to say to people when we talk about setting goals, and I do this as a part of training that I do at UWI Open Center. They have a suite of training that looks at adult professional development. And that training, I often say, even though it is done within the organizational setting, to say to individuals, you can apply these same strategies and approaches to your personal life. And the country can apply goals. I was listening to Nelma just now talking about crime and violence. And I keep arguing this, that if as a country we don't set goals, if as a country you don't say by 2020, we want to increase, for example, the 4% tertiary level graduates to 50%, you will never reach. because you will be doing all sorts of things, using resources inefficiently, ineffectively, and so on and so forth. So today, while we're talking about personal goals, I always say to individuals, especially those doing small businesses, you can also set your goals for your little business. It can be done at the organizational level, and it can be done at the country level. But why set goals? I think that is why we're here.
Why set goals?
And I think very key, it gives us a sense of purpose. Why do we exist? It gives us a sense of direction. It inspires us, something to work to, something to look at. It also makes us more efficient in how we use our time and how we use our resources. And goals can be immediate. So we can set up the map and say, well, for 2017, these are the things that we want to do. But 2017 can feed into 2018 and 2019 and 2020. So by 2020, you have achieved something that you started in 2017. So very key then, direction, purpose, inspiration, being efficient, and of course being effective.
Now, I want to go back to this concept of setting goals, and I think it is so critical to be successful in anything if you have a goal in mind.
Yes.
And I know what we're going to get into today is looking at how to structure the goal that you can be more successful. What I wanted to talk about was just taking advantage of an opportunity. A lot of people are dismissive of resolutions, and understandably why with the success rate. I have been saying continuously, if someone has a goal in mind for self-improvement, then we should encourage it. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's effectiveness at work, whether it's time management, whether it's going back to school, financial planning, we should encourage them. So for people who decided, you know, forget what all the naysayers say, I'm going to set a goal or make a resolution for myself for this month, this year, where should we start?
And it starts first by I call it visualizing. What I've tried to do is to put the goal setting process in what I call 5 simple steps. And I had provided some slides, so I'm hoping that we can get that. And if we can go directly to slide 4, which you're going to see 5 steps to achieving your goal.
Okay. Go ahead.
Good. And you there it says step 1, set goals that motivate you. That's the first thing. Because if you don't set goals that motivate you, you will not keep going. But those goals also have to have value. Why is that goal important to you? You spoke about self-improvement, for example. You said, so if I'm to do self-improvement, why do I want to improve myself? There has to be some reason. Exactly, for what and not only that, how will it motivate me? Because when you set those goals, oftentimes it requires a series of tasks and activities to achieve that goal. And it can be a short-term goal, it can be a medium, it can be a long-term goal. If I talk, for example, let us say career, and I've put that there where I said the first step is set goals that motivate you. Visually, you can map this. An ordinary piece of paper. And I put 2017. But I can put 2018, I can put 2019, I can put whatever year. But we are dealing with 2017, right? So I said, all right, you can have career goals. You can have a goal to save more money. You can have a goal for the family. Once a month you bring auntie, uncle, cousin, everybody together. And you spoke about family earlier. People now, as you mentioned, are trying to bring their families closer together. Hobbies. What's a hobby that you like? I want to try salsa dancing this year because I love this ballroom dancing and salsa, rumba, whatever. And romance. We all need a little romance in our lives. Whether we're married, right? And sometimes when you're married and kids, they like to say the romance is slowly leaving the marriage. So why not a date night? Or a night out if you're not married? If you don't go out and you want romance, you can't find it home. You have to go out.
That's true. So and you have to make an effort to go. Do so.
Because you might come in every day tired, your world is such that it's overwhelming, you come home, you don't go out. If you don't go out, you can't find a partner. So the first thing then for is set goals.
Yeah.
And all those goals, if you notice, I just put something under it, but it can be other things.
That's right.
Right? So you start then, set the goals that motivate you.
What is key to what you have here, and I think it's a critical part, is the realistic aspect.
Yes.
Because where family, for example, and I know many people who have that as a resolution, which is I want to spend more time with my family, quality time with my family. It's not enough to just say quality time with the family. If I say hobbies is getting more time in the gym, how much more time in the gym? Yeah.
And this is why I put it as a 5-step process.
Okay.
Because we start in our minds, sometimes even though things are integrated, we still kind of accept them or embrace them more when you put them like in discrete elements or distinct elements.
Okay.
And so I say if we do 5 quick steps, 5, that's easy to remember.
Right.
First one, set your goals that motivate you. And you can take a piece of paper, like I said, map it, you can have it in your mind, right? So that's step 1.
Okay.
What is step 2? Next slide. Step 2 looks at going back to what you said just a while ago. You spoke about being realistic, setting the time, and so on and so forth. So if we start talking about step 2, we say set SMART goals.
Okay.
Because you brought that up.
Yeah.
Specific. What is the specific thing I want to do? I want to increase my savings.
Yes.
How am I going to measure it? By how much I want to increase it? I want to increase it by 5,000 this year. You see? By how much? Is it attainable? Maybe right now I may not be earning enough money, but if I want to do a savings, I might have to maybe think, all right, if I need the savings of 5,000, I want every month at least I earn $500. Maybe I need to do a turkey dinner every month.
Well, yeah.
Maybe next month I need to find some clothes and sell it.
Yep.
Maybe next month I need to do a little
side job.
Right. And that starts to
Yeah.
thing you. Then it has, as we said, to be relevant. Relevant to your life. If I am doing a professional development training, how will that help me? Many people train sometimes, and what are they going to do with the training?
Afterwards.
Yeah.
So how relevant, and as you quite mentioned also, how realistic and time bound. Set the time by which you want to achieve something. Because if you don't set it, you will be forever going and going and going. Oh, next week. So if you look at the mind mapping that I did, I said, okay, I want to do a romance, right? I want to meet somebody and start. That means I have to go out twice a month at least. So I then start putting it 2 times a month. The calendar has 12 months a year.
Yeah.
So that's 24 months ago.
You have to meet within that time.
So, and then part of that step, when I moved to then step 3, put it in writing. You know, you got to leave boards in your fridge or something. You got to leave magnet to the fridge or your diary or whatever. You can just put it in writing. Put these goals in writing.
And actually, writing is very easily accessible. You've got your phone right there, and everybody uses their phone.
Exactly. So you have so many options in which you can do this.
Then, but it also is a great reminder, because then you put it in the back of your mind, but seeing it on a regular basis. And like people who do vision boards, I know people who do vision boards, they really use that as an additional motivator in their day.
Exactly. And you mentioned your phone. Your phone have ways of reminding you of things.
Of course.
Right? 1 hour before, you may forgot our date, or you may forgot out, or you may forgot to the gym, or you have your training course at. So that helps as well.
But I not to divert from it, but let's get into areas where folks would say, planning involves a lot of money. I can't do this. I don't have money. I don't have the time. I don't have, and money always boils down to it. What do you say to somebody who want, because they're listening to, they're actually watching and want to start to plan and want to start. What do they do? What do you tell these people?
Now let us go to step 4.
You didn't divert.
You didn't divert. You're ahead of me, which is good.
I'm just
no, because it shows you how things are sequential.
Yes.
Right? You set the goals, you ensure that they're smart, you put it in writing, but then you have to make an action plan.
That's right.
And that action plan have budget and task. budget. You spoke about the cost.
How are you going to afford it?
Right. And we also have to execute it, monitor and track our progress, and of course adapt along the way.
Yeah.
So if we go back then to talking about the action plan, we said you talk about resources. Okay, family. Let us say we want to do a family night once a month. I use family because that was your example.
Yeah.
How many people in the family?
Let's say 13.
All right, so so you're going to meet 13 times. Now, I always say when you're doing your budget and you're doing your planning, look for partnerships and networking. 13 of them want to be part of this
Family gathering.
this family gathering. Because if you bring everybody on board, they must share your vision of that family on board.
That's right.
Right? So if you're going to bring them on board, part of it could be everybody hosts it once a month.
That's it.
So you host first month, and the first month you meet and you set it out, etc. And then the next month, and so the cost is shared.
Yes.
And so when you're doing your once a month, then you start budgeting. And you what do it could be potluck.
Yes.
Everybody bring their potluck. So you may do a budget to say to host this may cost me $5,000.
Yes.
But if you bring the chicken and you bring the salad and you bring the, you get me? And
there's
then what's
one
the
small
purpose?
cost to
It may
family,
be
yes.
games. If we're playing Monopoly, you got Monopoly. If you want to play card, you got the dominoes, whatever. And so you budget because you know what it's going to cost. But then the networking and the partnerships allow you then to address those budgetary issues.
Yes.
But what it also does for you is you may say, all right, January can be a month we do this family business because I recover for Christmas, etc., etc.
season.
So when I start February, that means you have to look at your budget, your income. How much money I get this month, right? If this thing is going to cost me this, how much do I need to program? You see?
Yes.
And so that is when we start talking budget. So there are many ways to skin the cat.
Yeah.
But you must first know that it's a goal you want to do and plan for it. And if you notice the calendar, just like what we said, you could have a simple calendar up on your wall, right? And you ensure that you calendarize it, right? You ensure that because you set the time that you're going to do it, you put the lead budget, and then you start to put what are the tasks? Call everybody, buy so and so, order the chicken for cook, season the fish. Tomorrow I have to do I know every year I have a brother who comes home for Christmas, and he wants fried fish and Creole bread and etc., etc. So I don't have to program that in my budget.
That's
part of my annual budget. My brother does the bill, so he programs that. But that's how we do it.
Let me ask you, how do we overcome one specific challenge? William and I used to talk about this thing called analysis paralysis, which essentially we get so caught up in planning that we don't move to action. We get into all the different risk analysis that you may have, what can, what may not, but we don't make this fourth step. And really essentially the step that comes after it, the execution.
Exactly, which is executing it. And this is why you plan.
Overcome that hump though. Like when you get there and you say, okay, yes, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get there. But sometimes there's just that missing element to make you go from visualizing to taking action.
Go back to the first goal that says, why is it important to you?
Yes.
Why is it of value to you? That's very key. Because if it is not important to you and it have no value to you, you will not get to either the planning or the execution or the monitoring or the fifth one, which is going to be stick to it.
Yes.
Okay.
See, 'cause that's the fifth one, stick with it. But if you don't do the planning, I often say to my participants that I have these discussions, and I call them discussions. That's how I look at it. I say, if you don't plan where you're going to go, you will never reach. If you get up every day and you don't know what you're going to do, you probably sit down all day, probably might watch TV all day, you might go and start walk and never reach anywhere because you don't know where you're going. And time. We only have one life to live, you know.
That's right.
Only one life. And you have to make that determination, but that determination has to be a value. If this year, for example, I realize the grays they come in, right? I can't handle too much gray because as a woman, I know the gray make us start to look old. No woman wants to look old. So that is important to me now. So I have to program my 3 months. I go in a shower every 3 months for touch up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I also have to know I'm going to do it. But important. So when the 3 months come and I go, that was start. Boy, Carly just start to look your grade and I look more and they look old, blah, 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 blah. Fight Sharon.
Yeah.
So overcoming the challenge, what is very key is having it have value to you and having it have importance to you. Okay. Because if you don't have that value, if you want to talk family, for example, and family is not important to you, how will you convey to your siblings, how will you convey to your children, your parents, whoever, that family is important? So that becomes very, very key. And so the 5th step then comes, and if you notice, the 4th was also, like I said, execute it, monitor and track it. And then I put the little checklist.
Yes.
So every time you achieve something, you
check it off.
So imagine if you say, I do 5 things this year. And as I move along, tick, 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 how you start feel? Boy, and I feel good. I feel
a sense of achievement.
Yes,
so you
confidence.
Yeah.
When I fix the hair, I feel more confident because I look better. Okay, and if I do a little training that I do one of my goals every year is to do a training. I must be relevant to what's happening today. My training that I did 10, 15 years ago can be relevant in 2016. So every day I do that. But I know when I do that, it adds to my resume. Then when somebody introduced me, they say, Carolyn, how you got so much? That makes you feel good. You see?
Yeah.
So you tick it. So you monitor, you track it, and like I said, you adapt. Because sometimes something that may be important in January, maybe I wanted to lose 20 pounds. I lose it by April, May. Then by June, that is no longer
maybe
relevant.
Your goal was saving for a vacation and your car goes in and you need to save for a car.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you shift. You see, and that becomes your new goal because that vehicle becomes important. And of course, the last one comes to do, like I said, stick with it. And you stick with it by doing your little checklist, by maintaining that it's important to you, that you have value, and so on and so forth.
I want to ask one question because this is one that I think we hear quite often. How important is it to share your goals with other people?
It's very important because they can become your cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They can become your champions. They can, when you don't get up in the morning to go to exercise, they can, the phone ring. Oh man,
get out of bed.
Exactly. Or the champions also in terms of when you achieve something, they're there to say, I'm so proud of you. I try to do that with so many people. You know, I say, I'm so proud of you. Because I feel good for them. And if they feel good for me, right, that makes me feel good about myself. So it's important to share. And sometimes when you share, you find experiences that other people may have had. They may have had obstacles and they may have had because we all have challenges and obstacles.
Yes.
They can share their experience and say, you know what, girl, that same thing would happen to me, but you know what, I stick with it. And I want to stick with it because it has value and importance and it gives me a sense of purpose.
Yes.
I have a young family, going back to what you started with. I want to know maybe in 5 years I have my own house.
Yes.
Right? I am renting right now a 1-bedroom apartment. My girl pregnant, my wife pregnant. You know that kind of thing.
You mean they're the same one, right?
Right. No, yes. Yes.
Something else.
Yes. But then I would have to say, then I'm going to be a baby. That means the 1-bedroom may only be good for the first year or two. Yeah. And then maybe you have 3 children. And then they're going up. So 1-bedroom not enough. You need 2-bedroom, one for girls, one for boys. And you need 2 bathrooms. Because as they get older, the makeup, the this, the that. So you set those goals, and at the end of the day, you start working on them from very early. Yeah. So as a young family, what are the goals? Yeah. You know, and sometimes people like to say, oh, and go back to the romance, it's love, it's It's not only that.
Yes.
It's setting goals, because if you set goals as a family, it is sharing the experiences as you move along in achieving those goals that will all keep you together. So that's so very important.
Nice. Just listening to it, because what, like you rightly mentioned, when you talk about goals with your friends and your family, they actually motivate you.
Exactly.
I always say that whenever you talk about something, somebody have been there already, and they would actually give you a better road to walk in terms of getting to your goal. The importance also of talking about starting to find goals. How important is that?
Very, very important, because if you don't start, remember the Chinese saying, the journey of the 1,000 steps starts with the first step. So if you don't start, then you will not achieve anything.
John brought up something so important, and I think it is something realistic we have to talk about, just very quickly. The naysayers in your life. We all have people in our lives. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be outsiders. You set a goal, you proclaim it to the world, and they'll be the first to say, "Oh, you can't do that." And in Belize, especially, that, right? No, nobody try. Somebody tried, they failed. Somebody did this. What are some advice to be able to block that out and stay focused with your goal?
The world is full of positive energy and negative energy. That's a realism. Yeah. If you go to the religious schools, they will speak to you of God and the devil. There will always be temptation in life. You have to have the mindset, and it goes back to that same thing. How valuable is this? How important is this for me and my family? There will always be naysayers, and that's realism. You have to find a way to block out the naysayers, and you have to also use that to say, okay, you think I will fail? I will show you that I'm not going to fail. Exactly. Exactly.
All right, great. Anything else you'd like to share with us in terms of how to set our goals? Do you offer this as we need like life coaches in Belize, so you can go to somebody and set your goals.
I do it all the time. In fact, like I said, I do UWI has lovely suites of professional development training. I always encourage people to take a look at their short term, sometimes weekends, etc. Look at things that may be able to affect you in your personal life as well as your professional, because we have two lives and we have to balance it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I want to, and you asked how would I leave, I would want to leave it with a statement that says goal setting is much more than simply saying you want something to happen. Unless you clearly define exactly what you want and understand why you want it in the first place, your odds of successes are considerably reduced. By following the 5 steps, you can set goals with confidence and enjoy the satisfaction that comes along with knowing you achieve what you set out to do. So it starts, what are you going to accomplish today? And I'm on Facebook. I'm always trying to post positive notes, positive inspirations, and I try to do it for my friends and even my Facebook friends. Because on Facebook, I've got friends who I've never met and never seen. But even those that I have never met and never seen, I try to do that, and I encourage everybody to do that for somebody.
Well, thank you for coming in and setting us on the right track to be able to make those goals or the things that we want in our life closer to our reality. Thank you. We're going to go ahead now and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about another possible resolution to ensure or not to ensure. We're going to find out after the break, so stay tuned.